Good afternoon to this World Cup special. Today we tread new ground because today for the first time you can speak to the ITV panel. We've got a special phone-in. The men on duty today are Brian Clough, Bobby Moncur, Paddy Crerand and Malcolm Allison. The first of our World Cup phone-ins. That's later on in the programme. I shall be giving you the number that you can ring, so you get your questions ready. It can be about anything that you've seen in the World Cup, maybe something that these fellas have said during the World Cup. So there we are now, on day 4 of the 1974 World Cup, and already certain issues have been raised. For example, are Brazil the champions in a spot of trouble?
Looks for the chip. Oh yes! Hit the post! Off the line!
Are there more triumphs on the way for Scotland?
That is the way to tap him away. Peter Lorimer. It's a long time since Peter Lorimer hit a goal, but that one.
And are the Poles a little better than we thought? We should be looking at one or two of those points in the next hour or so. We shall also be talking to the Scottish players. We've got bags of action to go with it all as well. And the ITV panel have chosen their starred individual team from the World Cup so far. I can tell you that there is one Scottish name in it, and you'll find out who he is a bit later on. Some hard-hitting words, too, from Sir Alf Ramsey about the Scots. But first of all, it's the latest news from the camp, and it's reassuring news for Scotland, because there's no cause for alarm about Peter Lorimer's knee injury. The knee is tender, but he will be fit for Tuesday's game against the Brazilians. And Billy Bremner has made a good recovery from his knee injury. He trained this morning, and he will play. No other problems. In fact, the whole squad took part in a full-length training session today. Incidentally, the latest World Cup betting that we've got from Hills shows West Germany still the favourites at 9-4. The Italians still second favourites at 9-2. Holland now have shortened from 8-1 to 11-2. Brazil are 13-2. Yugoslavia 9-1. Very significant this one. Poland, after their victory over Argentina, have shortened from 33-1 to 16-1. East Germany are 16-1 also. The Scots have shortened from 28-1 to 20-1. And in Britain, of course, our hopes rest with Scotland. Our thoughts on that critical match coming up for them on Tuesday night against the Brazilians. Scotland already have that one victory against the African champion Zaire under their belts, though it was a pity they didn't score more goals. Here are the goals and the misses with the Scots in the dark shirts.
Dalglish. Pumping it, a good one. Law and Jordan both under it. Comes back for Hay. Tries the shot. Beauty! Hit the post! Oh, what a let-off for Zaire. Hay looks from a drain outside. Drain now being faced by Mayanga. Mayanga, who's come back to help his defence out, which is under a lot of pressure at the moment. Jordan up. It comes for Lorimer. What a goal! That is the way to tap him away. Peter Lorimer. A dangerous sight, I always feel, Alf, when you see players with no shin pads on and their socks down around their ankles.
Always a difficult sign, Hugh. And when late tackles are being made, or when they're chopping across the legs of players.
That's a goal! It's given! Jordan has scored it! Joe Jordan from Billy Bremner's cross. It's 2-0 Scotland. A remarkable goal. It's a Nadai now. The chance on for number 10, Kidumu. Oh, great goalkeeping. Little late thinking by the number 10, Kidumu. Mayanga. Mayanga can hit him with his left foot. And he did. That wasn't a bad one from his number 14, Mayanga. Dalglish. Jordan. Support there from Lorimer. Lorimer taking them on. Running at Macombo. And he's past him. Got the cross. And the goal. Surely from Jordan. And the shot is over Lorimer! And it didn't go in! Oh, good gracious me, and Lorimer cannot believe it!
But now the thoughts of those Scottish players are on that big one against the Brazilians on Tuesday. Brazil wobbled a little bit against Yugoslavia in that opening game on Thursday and gave grounds for us thinking that maybe they're not as astonishing or indeed as organised as they have been in their recent past. At any rate, the Scottish players feel that they've got a good chance, and Arthur Montford's been talking to some of them today. How will Brazil compare with Zaire?
There's a lot of difference. Brazil's, they've been known and they are a great team, and although Zaire were very good, I thought they were a lot better than what I thought they would be.
Well, Brazil, as everybody knows, they are the world champions. They've all got world-class players in the team. I think it's going to be a very difficult game, indeed.
Well, I think there is individual players that you'll have to worry about, but I think that the players that we've got can cope with what they've got, you know.
What about those Brazilian free kicks, Tommy?
Well, we watched the Brazilian game on the television, And the free kicks looked the only danger against Yugoslavia.
Don't forget, Arthur, we have some very skillful players in our team too, and I think if you go on the field worrying about what the other side is going to do to you, you're going the wrong way about the job. And I think our accent will be in the expression of the skill that our own players have. I think particularly in the middle of the field, which could be vital to the whole game. We played them in the summer, and I don't feel at least a bit
pessimistic about the outcome.
You know, I feel quite confident that we'll do very well.
It's difficult for any team to combat them, but I think you've got to mark them tight, very tight, and just really mark tight. That's the only thing I can see is doing against them to try to combat them, because if you let them play them, what do you?
Mr. Allman, he's seen Brazil, you know, and he's got the players in the pool, and it's up to him to bring out a formation to combat this, and I think we can do that.
It'll be a very tight game. You know, I don't think the teams will attack as much as we did last night. It'll be more a defensive game. Two teams waiting for a break.
But you still reckon you can do it?
Oh yeah, I feel quite confident about that.
We're motivated for the Brazil game because it's going to be such a vital game in the sense that if we need a point at least, you know, we've got to get a point. And I think you don't need to get motivated to play like against Brazil because they're such a great team, and we'll get there, and I'm sure we'll do well and get a result against them.
Well, I think we will, he said. I wonder if I detected a moment of doubt there from Big Jim Holton. At any rate, Scotland against Brazil, Tuesday, live on ITV. We shall be starting our build-up at 7 o'clock. Whatever you do, get home in time for that one. The best match of the World Cup so far, no doubt at all about that. Poland against Argentina played in Stuttgart last night. It seemed to point towards two things, that Poland maybe are a little better than we thought they were, and that Argentina is not as hot-headed as we thought they were. Poland are in the white strip. Hugh Johns is the commentator with Sir Alf Ramsey.
Argentina getting back into the game, Gorgon having a shot saved, and while Poland are cursing their luck that the goalkeeper saved it in almost a fraction of a second. Lato breaks on yet another mistake, and it's 3-1 to Poland. Babington, is there anything left in this Argentine side? Rubbed out of it by Shumakovsky. Again, the encouraging whistles of the fans, and it looks as though referee Thomas decides that is it. It's all over here at Stuttgart. It's 3-2 Poland.
Brian Clough, I don't really want to score points, but are Poland better than you, perhaps more than anybody, led us to believe?
Well, I didn't lead anybody to believe they were a bad side. I just said that England were a better one. And anybody that, having watched that match, which was a superb match, can tell me that England wouldn't have done the same thing that Poland did, you know, must be a fool. I just thought England were a better side. If they'd have played in that match, perhaps they'd have won 4-2 instead of 3-2.
But do you see Poland as contenders now?
Yeah, they're a very talented side, obviously. They defend well in depth, and they break very, very quickly. This is their whole strategy. They like to get centred around their own goal and like to expose the opposition's defence, and then away it goes very quickly, and they've got the forwards to cash in on this situation.
I must ask the question that millions want me to ask you now. What about Tomaszewski, your friend, this Polish goalkeeper? What did you think of him there?
Yeah, well, he went across the goal there for that free kick just outside the box, like, you know, a lumbering elephant. But he did reasonably well, as Alf pointed out, to one of the goals which eventually went in. But I'll reserve my judgment because whole of England are looking at him.
You'll wait.
Of course, yes.
Now, the two fellas that you've picked out earlier today that you said you want to talk about, one is Lato,
yes,
a superb little Polish player who scored 2 of the goals. What about Lato? Let's have a look at him.
Well, defenders hate this combination of pace and skill. There he goes again. He was involved in every attacking movement the Poland side made. There's just all home beautifully. Zarmak, but it was a perfect example. He's intercepting a terrible throw there from the goalkeeper, latches onto it and slots it home. He's always on the move, he's always on the ball, he bubbles, he's involved with everything. He's a very small man, but as I must repeat this point, is the thing that defenders hate. He gets the ball, he controls it, he attacks them with speed, and he wants to take them on and get into the penalty area.
The other fellow was Ruben Ayala of Argentina, who looked their best player and was one of our 7 to follow as well.
Yeah, here how he collects it. He turns round, the defender allows him a little bit of space here, but watch his cross with the outside of his right foot. Straight across the goal to Kempers, Down in it goes there. Babington should have scored there first of all, but he gets a second chance and he slips in the net. And my friend, of course, is pouncing around on the goal line.
In one sentence, Argentina, are they out of it? They've got to play Haiti and Italy yet.
I think they're out of it because defensively they're not you know, they're not used to this tackling in their own half. Poland exposed them.
That's something we should look at a bit later on too, tackling in the other people's halves. But there are no surprises yet in the World Cup, but we thought we were on the way to one last night when little Haiti led the second favourites Italy in the second half of their game in Munich. But the Italians kept their heads and won safely enough in the end. Italy are in the white strip, and our commentator is Jerry Harris.
Good goalkeeping, but perhaps we might have the answer to why Haiti are playing like men possessed. Just before the game, it was announced that they would get a £90,000 bonus if they drew, and £150,000 if they bring off a win against Italy in Munich here today. It represents a fortune for them, and here's a chance. He's being held back, and Sanon, he's done it! Sanon has done it for Haiti. Riva on the far post, Mazzola with a cross. And now a chance for Canaglia, and that's it. The equaliser. Here's Mazzola with the chip. Bonetti. Oh, a deflection, an own goal. It's 2-1 to the Italians. This is Mazzola now. And Riva and Anastasi have plenty of space. Yes! 3-1. And at last they're happy.
Bobby Moncur, you watched the whole of that game. I think you tipped Italy to win, didn't you, in the opening programme to win the World Cup. Do you feel confident after seeing them get that shock against Haiti?
Well, I didn't feel too confident when they were 1 down, believe me. But after watching them, the big problem they had after going 1 down was, could they in fact play as they were playing? In fact, they were playing well, but for a little fella called Francillon, the goalkeeper of Haiti. He was tremendous, you know, but we'll see him later, but certainly Italy battled away well, and they kept playing to the system, and eventually the breaks did come, because they were 1-0 down, but they could have been 6-1 up, you know, and they really played away, and then they got the winner when they put Mazzola a little bit wide on the right, and against a left-back who struggled and tired a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think this shock is a good thing to have got out of their system now?
Well, if you look back at Italy in the World Cup, 1966, they got beat by Korea 1-0, and then 1-1 against Israel. And they had this thing yesterday, they have the mental barrier, which they got over well, as you saw, by they rattled the goals at the right time. And I was very pleased that they came on, and I still fancy them because they've got the rhythm going and they've got the system.
One Italian player who impressed you perhaps more than any other?
Well, Mazzola won the game for them because he murdered the full-back, and that's where all the danger came when he went up, good cross balls, and that's where all the trouble came from. And it's one of the best games I've ever seen Mazzola play.
Sandro Mazzola, there's another fellow to watch in the next few days. What about these fellows from Haiti? The goalkeeper you were talking about, Francillon.
Tremendous. No, not only...
Before you talk about it, let's have a look at some of the best work he put in yesterday against the Italians.
Given a lot of space. Mazzola! Brilliant save. Riva's gone into the centre wall position. This is Riva. Can he turn? And now Canaglia. Canaglia going again, and he should have scored there. Riva going over to the far post. Up goes Riva. Another good save, and Canaglia couldn't get it. Bonetti going to try the long one, is he? No, indeed not. And another brilliant save, this time from Mazzola. Riva! Oh, well held. And now Riva. Easily past his man and a good cross. Up goes Franciol. Well held. And the Italians losing a little bit of patience. Canaglia's coming for this one, so's Franciol. What a catch.
I think those saves spoke for themselves, Bobby. Let me ask you just one question now, very quickly. Do you think Haiti now are chopping blocks for the other two sides in that group, Argentina and Poland?
I don't think so, no. I think they can play. The lads up front, as we saw Sanon score a goal, the power he has got, and he's not the only one, there's 2 or 3 men, all got this tremendous speed, which I've never seen speed like it in Europe or anywhere else. They've got this thing that they're so fast, and the power they've got in the legs, wonderful to watch.
So the other point is, watch out for Haiti. Well, yesterday we also saw the first appearance in the World Cup of Johan Cruyff and Holland, the team that I believe will win the World Cup. They faced Uruguay, who had a man sent off, just as Chile had a man sent off in their opening game against the West Germans on Friday. But Holland overcame the tough tackling and won 2-0. They are in the white shorts, and our commentator is Keith Macklin.
Harry Hahn. Surbeer.
Moving nicely, Sorbia's out in the outside right position for the cross. There's number 1, Johnny Rep. Rep the scorer, and Holland have done just what they wanted to do. Uruguay can't play tight now. Cruyff. Looking for Rep. That's the nastily swerving one. Mandzukiewicz did very well indeed to get to that.
Mal, you saw that 90 minutes. Do Holland look a good bet in your eyes?
Yes, I think they're a great bet because they're showing the form that they've been showing, their club form in European Cup football the last 4 years. They've never had a great team as a national team, but what I saw yesterday, they're very, very well organised, and they've done their homework against South American countries. All the European sides have done that, both Poland and Yugoslavia, and also Holland yesterday have really done their homework against these South American sides and caused them tons and tons of problems.
I want to, in fact, throw us forward to Scotland against Brazil, because you saw something in this game that we can look at now. The way the Dutch came out and challenged the Argentinians, or rather even...
assaulted them. Dutch players come and attack him. The situation is that they push up onto the halfway line. Here they come again. There's Rocha on the ball. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Dutch players in a line there. 1, 2, 3... Here comes the 4th one, goes between these where the foul was committed, and there's a 5th one behind him. They push right up on the halfway line, and they want to win the ball in the Uruguayan half. And this is what Yugoslavia did against Brazil, and this is what Poland did against Argentina.
And this is what you see Scotland doing against...
Well, you see, Brazil and all the South American countries like to use short balls from their goalkeeper, like to play in their own half, and never get pressurised in their own half. But these European teams have seen this, and as you saw with Poland yesterday, Lato won the ball, thrown out from the goalkeeper, dispossessed the Uruguayan defender, and put it in the back of the net. And I think that Scotland have definitely got to do this type of thing against Brazil.
So there we are. We've got a tip that Holland do look a good bet, and there's a little hint for what Scotland have got to do on Tuesday against Brazil. Now let's meet the man they're calling the best player in the world, Johan Cruyff. Keith Macklin has been talking to him, and first of all he asked Johan Cruyff if the Dutch had got confidence enough to win the World Cup.
We've got the confidence now, but this is the first game, and there are coming a lot of more games. First this round, 2 more games, and we hope to get through. We got a possibility now, but well, every game is different, so it's very easy, very difficult to say, well, we get there or there.
Well, Johan, a personal point, a viewer has asked, you take a lot of punishment from tacklers, you get kicked, you get knocked over. You never seem to complain. Why is this?
Well, in this game, the referee was very good because he saw a lot of things. When they were kicking, he whistled. And why would you do something back? Because doesn't need, if you do something back, he would see it too and you can be punished.
Well, one final point. You think in the later games you'll be able to finish a little better than you did today?
I think so, because the first game is always difficult. We had 2 new players in the center of the field, in the defense. And, well, they must get used to each other. And that's why we didn't play with much risk. And, but in the games, which are coming this week, I think they've got the confidence now to come out and to do something in the attack too.
Thank you very much.
Johan Cruyff. Just remember, we are just now a few minutes away from our first World Cup phone-in, so stand by for that. But when the action had died down last night, the ITV panel got their heads together under the doubtful chairmanship of Pat Crerand and set about picking the best individual 11 they've seen so far in the World Cup. This is the team they came up with. They had David Harvey in goal from Scotland, the one Scottish player in the side, Garcia of Chile, Luis Pereira of Brazil, Beckenbauer and Breitner of West Germany, the back 4, Dania of Poland, Oblak, this great Yugoslav, and Bonev of Bulgaria, an all-Eastern European midfield, Lato of Poland, Brian Clough's friend, Cruyff, of course, and Ayala of Argentina as the 3 men up front. Paddy, where did the most argument come there?
Brian, I don't know how you keep us so well organised, because last night after the show it was almost a fight about some of the players that we picked in the squad. Actually, one of the biggest problems I think we had was with Derek. He couldn't get in the team. But I think with the discussion about whether the boy Figueiredo from Chile was a better player than Beckenbauer, On the performance, probably it might have been, but we
Yeah.
took a democratic vote, and Derek again argued
say
that. And he but there was other one. There was one other Scotsman possibly could have got in, Peter Lorimer in his performance.
Yeah.
Jazic of Yugoslavia could have got in the side. Van Hannigan of Holland. There were so many good players actually.
Well, it's something that we're going to do throughout the World Cup, so look out for the next panel 11. I know there was no argument whatsoever about David Harvey as the goalkeeper, and that was a view endorsed by Mervyn Day, the young West Ham goalkeeper, who is working with us in ITV on the World Cup, and I'm sure many of his fans up and down the country will be delighted to know that Mervyn will be on our early show tomorrow at 5:20, telling us about the goalkeepers he's seen in the World Cup. This is why they all gave David Harvey the top spot, him in action against Zaire.
Refereed a few England matches, and
It's a Nadai now. The chance on for number 10, Kidumo. Oh, great goalkeeping. Tired of the two sides. Harvey comes, grabbed it well, despite the attentions of Kembo and the free. Mayanga. Mayanga can hit him with his left foot. And he did. That wasn't a bad one from his number 14.
We take a break now. After it's Alf Ramsey talks about Scotland, and you get your chance to talk to the ITV panel on our special World Cup phone-in. This is the number you must ring. 01 if you're outside London, 928 9922. I'll give that to you again. 01 if you're outside London, 928 9922. The lines are now open, and after the break, we'll be underway. Welcome back. And before we go to our World Cup phone-in, and I gather the calls are already buzzing in quite hard and fast, remember the number is 01, if you're outside London, 928 9922. A word from Sir Alf Ramsey, who's won such praise both from critics and viewers alike for his comments during the matches on ITV. Peter Lorenzo asked him for his thoughts on the first few days in the World Cup. First, Poland. Does he think they're serious contenders?
Well, I didn't support that they would qualify for the final rounds, but now having seen them play yesterday, I think they have not only a very good chance of qualifying, I think they will qualify and have a good chance of going through to the finals.
Referees, firm and fair control at the moment?
First class.
Tactics, the surprise as far as you're concerned?
Well, the surprise is that there hasn't been this tight marking, but I would like to defer this until I've seen the West Germans and the Italians.
Scotland, how big is their task this week?
I think they have a tremendous task. I think they've, as I've said previously, they've got to play much better than they did against Zaire. It may well be that it's unfair to judge them on that performance, but they will have to improve. They will have to formulate a much better understanding throughout the team. There's no one particular department that one can be satisfied. Their fitness is questionable. They seem to tire very badly at the end of the Zaire match. And if these two things can be put right, that is, their understanding and their physical output, then they have to do this to stand any chance against the two teams that I've mentioned, and particularly in the match against Brazil on Tuesday. Now, I think this is the time to hit Brazil. Brazil seem to be terribly disappointed. Their temperament or their nature is of such that they dislike bad performances, they dislike bad results, and it does affect their mentality. So this is an opportunity for Scotland to put these two things right and to attack and go into the match against Brazil full of confidence, full of determination, and I think they will stand some sort of chance of overcoming the Brazilians.
And the one outstanding player for you so far?
Well, the outstanding player, Oblak of Yugoslavia.
And the next outstanding quote there from Sir Alf Ramsey. At this stage of affairs, I would have thought Scotland's fitness is questionable. Right, let's have our phone in. Let it get underway now. We've got some callers on the line, and I think the first one is Alistair Sharp from Finchley. Alistair, you're through to the panel.
Yes, good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon.
The panel have talked at length about actual players, but what is their view on the standard of refereeing of the matches which we've seen so far on ITV?
Bobby Moncur.
Well, Mr. Sharp, was it?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I have been very pleased with the refereeing. They've been positive and been unafraid, and I've been delighted. And obviously there's been two guys sent off, and I think this had to happen, otherwise we were going to get some scandalous tackles. And I think they've set the pattern now, and I think it'll continue through the World Cup. There'll be less bad fouls, and I'm very pleased with the referees.
Yes, I think most of the panel would agree with that, Alistair, and I think everyone was delighted with the performance of Clive Thomas in what could have been potentially an explosive match there yesterday between Argentina and Poland. Alistair, thank you very much indeed for your call. It's got us underway. There's another one, I think, from Mr. Davis of Enfield. You're on the line to the panel, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Brian. The World Cup so far has shown a growing trend towards commercialism. The ex-Brazilian manager, and forgive my pronunciation, Salandina, has said the World Cup is on a disaster course. The players have become money mad. Do you think this growing trend towards commercialism and greed will eventually end the World Cup or its form?
Paddy Crerand, who's not a greedy man.
It's a very difficult question, actually, Brian. I suppose some players, when you get involved in the World Cup, you want to get out of it what you can, but I think the main point we must make is players, once they go on that pitch, are not interested. They don't think for 1 minute about money. I think that's the biggest point that you've got to make about players.
I think that the commercial side is caused by boot manufacturers and by newspapers, you know, because they offer money to beat each other. And this is where the problem is, you know, if one offers £200, another one offers £250.
Yeah.
You know, they wear Adidas boots or they wear Puma boots. You know, and there's this very, very big problem.
Malcolm, I had this argument the last day about the commercial thing, and it was, you know, the players, as Paddy said, there's no way players will worry about money once they go on the field.
Right, the only fellow on the panel we haven't heard from yet is Brian Clough, and the next caller is Charlie Andreas from Ealing. Mr. Andreas, would you like to address your question to Cloughie?
Yeah, hello there.
Hello, Charlie.
How's it going, Brian?
Not bad, thank you.
Listen, I can't understand why the panel haven't got Dino Zoff in goalkeeping World Cup 11.
Yeah, it's not a bad point at all. Obviously, you're a little bit biased, sounding by your accent. We thought Harvey was, you know, that much better. We thought he was that much safer. And I believe that Zoff relies, as every goalkeeper does, but more Zoff than most, he relies an awful lot on the defensive setup that the Italians operate. And I believe that Harvey, behind any defence, would come out a better goalkeeper. I'm not so sure about Zoff. He is a great goalkeeper, but he's, you know, he's been behind this Italian fence for so long that he does things automatically. And I would like to see him, you know, stuck behind another defence like West Ham's.
Oh, okay then. But I still think, you know, 12 games without a goal against him.
No, Charlie, it was absolutely superb record and can't be argued against.
Right, I think the thing that we should make, actually, we're only picking the team on the games that we have saw, the games that have been played. Dino Zoff played yesterday against Haiti and didn't give all that much to do. So you can't really judge him on that performance. We're not judging him in 12 games going by, we're judging him on what's happening now.
I think the other point, Charlie, is that we are, as I say, coming back to this theme throughout the World Cup. We should be doing this team every so often, so maybe Dino will get in a bit later on. But at the moment, David Harvey has got the choice. Thank you very much for your call, though. I gather Kevin James from Charlton is on the line. Kevin, you're through to the panel.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd just like to talk to Brian about the Haiti goalkeeper, because I think that he deserves it more than Harvey. Because the game he played was, well, I think was brilliant.
Yeah, well, Kevin, this is what makes our game go round, because everybody's got different opinions. It's the people who have the opinions who are right most succeed. He played remarkably well, but, you know, he did throw himself around a bit, you know, a little bit spectacular.
Yeah, but that's what goalkeeping's about.
No, goalkeeping is about stopping goals, not being spectacular.
Yeah, but that's what he did, stop goals.
Well, he did concede,
three.
You know, he did concede three. I would like to see him again and again before, you know, I give you a definite opinion and told you whether he can play or not.
Kevin, that's lovely. Thank you very much. We've got another caller on the line. It's our first lady caller. Welcome to Mrs. Nichols from Rainham in Essex. Mrs. Nichols, you're through.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Nichols.
Oh, good afternoon. I'd like to ask the panel if they think that Dennis Law will be picked for the match against Brazil on Tuesday. Only I see the match against Zaire, and I didn't think he was up to the standard of the rest of the players.
Paddy Crerand.
Mrs. Nichols, you do look well. I'm not really sure. I don't think probably Dennis will play against Brazil. It's hard to say. Sometimes when you get a manager picks a team that wins, he's not too keen to change it. But I don't think Dennis will play against Brazil on Tuesday evening.
Do you think he should, Mrs. Nichols?
Well, I don't think so, because, as I say, he wasn't playing to the standard of the rest of the players, and I wonder if they'd put in instead of him.
Tell me, as a lady, are you enjoying the World Cup?
Thoroughly.
That's good news. We're enjoying it as well, Mrs. Nichols. Thanks very much for calling us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, love. Is it Mrs. Wallace or Mr. Wallace on the line from Nottingham now?
Mr. Wallace.
Mr. Wallace. Hello, Mr. Wallace.
Hello. I'd like to ask the members of the panel, especially the managers mainly, why is it with their own teams, when they have to play defensive, they can find a whole lot of reasons for it? And because Brazil in particular had to play defensive on Thursday, they were knocking them. I'd like them to explain to me why, because of the players they've got in this squad, it wasn't convenient. Why they shouldn't have done it.
Because, Mr. Wallace, knocking perhaps is a little bit of a strong word, but we've associated with Brazil everything that's magic about the game. We've associated them with every single aspect that we want to see on our screens and our football fields. And the very day that we don't get it, it's obvious that, you know, some form of criticism has got to be delivered.
Yeah, but isn't it true that the players you've got in your squad dictate the style of play that you do have to play?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that's a fair comment.
And you must remember, the type of players they got now are not as good as the players they used to have. You yourself said that.
No, true, but the overall concept should be the same. And as I say, we've come to expect something special from Brazil, and if it isn't delivered, it's like all great things, Mr. Wallace. If you're a great manager, great performer, great footballer, great team like Brazil, once you fall below the standard you set, then you take a little bit of criticism. If Brian Moore falls below his standard he's set, he will get some stick as well.
I'm always taking stick from you. Thank you. Mr. Wallace, thank you very much indeed for your call from Nottingham. I think we have Mr. Alarati on the line now from Greenford. Maybe you'd like to put your question to the panel, Mr. Alarati.
Yes, I would like to ask Mr. Brian Clough why he doesn't talk about Italy these years. He's afraid because he had to make mistakes on the last World Cup to say that Italy won't qualify, or they're out of training, or things like that.
Yes, but he wasn't with us in the last World Cup, Mr. Alarati, so there was no saying...
I'm glad you're watching me wherever I go.
Yeah, everywhere.
I'm not sure what Italy did in the last World Cup, believe it or believe it not. Pardon? Yes, they were beaten in the final, and we didn't hear your message too well. All I can assure you is I'm not biased against the Italian side at all. I love the Italians as people and the players, and your spaghetti is absolutely magnificent.
There you are, Mr. Alarati.
I hope they win the World Cup.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarati. We've got our youngest viewer on at the moment, and it's Master Ian Graydon, who is aged just 12 from Islington. Ian, you're through.
Hello?
Hello, Ian. Come on.
I'd like to ask Brian, have you been accused by managers at the World Cup of saying anything about their teams?
Has he been accused of what?
By managers of saying anything about the World Cup teams?
I don't think... yes. Have you been accused by any, presumably, World Cup managers for saying anything derogatory about their teams?
No, not yet, Ian. I'm sure it's got to come in the next few weeks, because I get accused of most things. I would like, on occasions, not to be accused of certain things, but to discuss them in the sense that all I give is an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, you know, I'm asked to give it, and I give it in all sincerity and honesty.
Ian, thank you very much indeed for your call. It's nice to get a youngster on. We go up to Yorkshire now to Mr. Hulbert in Barnsley. Clough has monopolised it a little bit for the moment. Let's come back down to Malcolm, Paddy or Bobby. Who do you want, Mr. Hulbert?
Well, any of the Scottish contingent on the panel. To inquire what the panel thinks about the way Billy Bremner handled the second half in their match.
That's a good question. When he slowed it right down, you mean, towards the end when they should have been looking for goals?
Yeah.
I think probably Billy was at fault to a great degree in slowing the game down. Billy was quoted in saying in some of the papers that the Scottish team were a little bit tired and he was a little bit frightened. But I think he gave the initiative to the Zaire team at that particular time. I know Billy's a great player. Possibly you coming from Yorkshire, you're probably a fan of Billy Bremner's, I would imagine.
Correct.
But I think Billy would be to blame a little bit for the display that Scotland put up in the second half. He was the main culprit for slowing the game down.
I mean, normally Billy Bremner is pushing forward all the time.
Exactly. That's what he does with his club.
Yeah.
But I don't think possibly that Billy has ever been as free a player with Scotland as he has been with Leeds United. Maybe it's the players he plays with.
Yeah.
OK,
Right.
Mr. Hulbert. Thank you very much for your call from Yorkshire, Mr. Hulbert. Steve Williams from Swindon, way down there in Wiltshire, is on the line, and you are through to the panel, Steve.
Hello, Brian.
Hello there.
Hello. My question is for Brian Clough. Sorry to carry on the monopoly, but
Right, you're welcome.
what I'd like to know is the fellow that he called a clown so often at Wembley in the England v Poland match. And you know, does he still carry on insisting that this fellow is a clown?
Steve, I thought you would never get through. I've been waiting for you since 2 o'clock.
I've been trying.
No, you've been trying, smashing. Just give him time. I thought that, you know, he was very, very fortunate at Wembley. I did call him a clown because I looked at the other end of the field and there was a guy called Shilton who I have high regard for to be beaten with what you too, smashing. And just give him time. He did concede 2 goals, you know, yesterday.
He did indeed, yeah. I'll go along with you that. They also made some rather superb saves.
Pardon?
He also made some rather superb
Of
saves.
course, it's inevitable. He made a few good saves at Wembley, but, you know, it's not the good saves you make, it's the mistakes you make, because I made many, many good statements, and you've only remembered that one.
I had to remember that one, Brian. You know, I follow your comments quite a lot. And
Thank you.
A lot of them make a lot of sense, but
Good, thank
the
you.
clown bit I thought was a little bit...
Well, perhaps it was a little bit
Yeah,
strong.
yeah.
We'll see later on in the competition, and I'll see you next season.
Steve,
I should be watching, but
Steve,
not at Brighton, I'm afraid.
no. Steve, thank you very much. I think you got the old fella backtracking a bit there. Master John Doyle from Coventry, I think is 12 also. John, you're on the line to the panel.
Yes.
Now, what would you like to ask them?
I'd like to ask, who do you think scored the best goal in the World Cup up to now?
Bobby Moncur, who would you put that one down to?
John, that's very simple. I think it's got to be Peter Lorimer. And I think he could have had another one as well. And for me, being a Scotsman, of course, I've got to go for Peter Lorimer scoring a goal for Scotland.
I think a lot of people would say it was Joachim's strike of East Germany against Australia. Tremendous shot there. But certainly, John, there have been some wonderful goals. I hope that you're enjoying the World Cup as much as we are as well. I hope we get a lot of good goals to come, particularly from the Scots. But there we are. The fella says Peter Lorimer. Now, Mr. Cooper from Yorkshire is on the line to the panel.
hello,
Mr.
Brian.
Cooper, hello there.
This is Clive Cooper from Morley in Yorkshire.
Hello, Clive.
What I'd like to ask the panel is the long free kicks, what used to be taken in English football,
seems to disappear completely in the continental football. You know, all the short ones, the long free kicks into the penalty area, where everybody was waiting there and causing a lot of trouble, they seem to disappear completely. Did the panel can help me at all?
Malcolm?
He thinks that the long free kick has
There's not
disappeared.
enough long free kick.
Yep.
There.
Well, I think that, you know, there was a long free kick for Scotland when Jordan scored the goal, which Bremner crossed for him. But I think that the players have to work out for themselves which is the best situation, and if they think it's a better situation to play a short one, then they play a short one, and if they think it's a better situation to play a long one. I think when they're playing against world-class players, to play long free kicks, it doesn't pay off so often as to play short free kicks.
Clive, thank you very much for that call. I do want to get the next one in because it comes from Northern Ireland. It comes from Anthony Jackson. Anthony, you're on the line to the panel from Northern Ireland.
It comes from Manchester.
From Manchester? Well, that's a long way from Northern Ireland. But come on then, Anthony.
I'd like to ask Brian Clough how he thinks Scotland will perform against Brazil.
How does Scotland go on against Brazil?
I think it'll depend. This particular match, Anthony, will depend whether Scotland get through to the later stages or not. If you want me to really put my head on the chopping block, and I know that's why you rang, I don't think they will beat Brazil.
No.
There we are.
I'm sorry, son, if you support Scotland, but I wouldn't tell you a lie.
No, I don't think they'll beat Brazil.
Good boy, that's you and I.
Two together. We've got about a minute to go, so Mr. Russell from Hayes, it'll have to be very quick, Mr. Russell.
Yes, I'd like to ask the panel, do they think, on what they've seen already of the South American teams, whether their monopoly over the World Cup football, well, not a monopoly, but their performances in the World Cup has come to an end, and we're going to see an era of European football now?
Well, I think that the European teams have definitely been better than the South American teams up to yet. But I think we haven't seen the best form of Brazil yet, and they're the strongest force, I think, in South America.
There we are. Thank you very much. That's all the time we've got for the phone-in. We've enjoyed it. We'll make a bit more time for that next Sunday afternoon. That's it. Our next dates are at 10:25 tomorrow morning for our morning match. Our thanks to all the callers, let me say. A service to shift workers, that'll be the morning match, so make sure you see that. And then at 5:20, our early show, when we start our roll-up quiz for cash prizes. The panel will be back in action again. Something special happening to one of them tomorrow. I can't tell you what it is at the moment, but don't miss that at 5:20 tomorrow evening for the early show. And now from all of us here on this sunny afternoon in London, good afternoon.